G'day guys, today I'm going to start a new project. I want to get some fly screens for the windows. Now, we're not sure whether we're going to go security screens or just normal fly screens. So, way back in my younger years when I first started work, I think it was my second job, I installed fly screens and security doors, and I had to make some fly screens as well, so I've done it before. So this is where we're going to go on my bedroom window, or my bed window, and Carolyn's bed window, just so we can open it at night and get some fresh air come through and hopefully stop the nasties getting in. Gone down to Bunnies to get some of the fly screen stuff. Can't remember what it's called. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm just measuring up now for along the window, and then I'm going to put them together and I'll show you how it goes. Okay guys, if you haven't made fly screens before, this is called extrusion. I know what it is now, I've forgotten what it was, but it's called extrusion. You've got the flat side, and then on the back side you've got the flat side, and that's where the spline for the holding the mesh in goes in. Now when you're cutting it, make sure this spline section where you put the spline in goes on the inside of the fly screen, not the outside, otherwise it'll be all buggered up. So make sure when you cut your 45s, that you've got them the right way around, okay? Because when you make the fly screen and it turns that way, that spline has got to be on the inside of the extrusion. So you got a 45 angle cut on this side, and when you do the other side, it's got to be the other way around. So make sure you don't stuff it up, otherwise you'll you'll cost yourself some extrusion, okay? So make sure you do the proper 45 angle degree cuts, which I've got on my table saw. So what I'm going to do now is measure out. Now there's a couple of ways you can measure it. If you've got to be precise on your windows, do from the inside and measure across on the inside. Otherwise you can do the outside, like we're doing on the bus, because you can get to it and easy done. I'm just measuring from the outside, which will be right on the corner of the bus frame, to the other end on the corner of the bus frame. Measuring's a little bit of a problem, especially when you're doing it into a channel of a window or stuff like that. So it's a bit more challenging to get the right measurements, but for the bus it's going to be easy because it's on the outside.
Shut up and sit down.
Alright, so I've cut my first piece. I'll just come out and measure it up. Okay, so I cut it just a little bit long, so it's just a fraction long, so I'm just going to take a bit off it. Once I've got one cut, I can then just put the others on and cut the long lengths as same as this. So I'll just get this first one right and use it as a template for the other three. Alright guys, it was too hard to film and check it by myself, so it's right now. So I'm going to use this to cut the other top piece for this one, and the same on Carolyn's as well. Alright guys, I'll just show you what I mean if you cut it the wrong way around. Now this is, I just cut this on the other end for the angle on this side, but it means the other side's wrong. So that's the front facing, but if you spin it around, see how the channel's on the outside and not on the inside. So if you've cut it this way, you've cut it wrong. So make sure when you've cut a piece off, you have to spin it around and cut the other angle to get it right again. Alright guys, there's the 4 pieces for the framing. I also got corner pieces to go in the corners to join them together. Now, by right, something this long should really have a support in the middle, but they didn't have any at Bunnings, so I couldn't do it. So when I come to put on the mesh and the spline, I've just got to not pull it too tight, otherwise it's going to bow in the middle, and I don't want that to happen. So I've just got to make sure when I do the mesh it's not too tight. Anyway, I'm going to tap these corner bits in now to each edge and join them up. Now you should use a rubber mallet. I don't have one, so I'm just going to put something over the end of my normal hammer and hammer them in. Well guys, I've just made well, I didn't make a mistake. It was Bunnings. I should have checked though. Let me show you. I went to put this piece together and put the angle in the end, and it wasn't fitting. I'm thinking, why the hell's it's not fitting? Anyway, this piece here is 11mm, this is 9mm. Now you can't really tell that side. It looks right. It's only the thickness is wrong. This is 9mm and this is 11mm. So by the looks of it, I'm hoping somewhere along the line I've probably got an 11mm one of this as well. So I'm going to be short. Of course, yeah, there's the other one. So Bunnings only had 4 pieces. I grabbed them all and didn't bother to check they were the same, because they look the same and they're wrong. So I'll only be able to do one fly screen today. I'll have to go to another Bunnings and get some more. Okay, if when you're running the spline along and the end goes under, just lift the spline back up, pull it out and keep going. Now, you don't want to put too much pressure on the spline, because you don't want this going too thin. So just be careful when you do this. Now I've got that end, what I'll do is check this end to make sure I've got enough. Okay, I've just got enough. It'll be close, but I should have enough on this one to do it. So now I'm going to go ahead and do one side, then do the end, and then do the last side. Now once again, try not to pull this too tight, otherwise you're going to have bows on the edge. If you just keep it tight as you going through with the spline, you'll find that you'll get all the little creases out. Then the last section you do should be able to get all of it nice and flat and tight. But this is the side I don't want to go too hard on. I just remembered I should have started on the long side first, and then the short side, then the long side, then the short side to finish, because you can pull it tighter that way. That's what happens when you haven't done it for 30 years. Anyway, it should be all right. If worse comes to worse, I can always pull it out and do it again, but I think we'll be fine. Right, so there it is with the spline in. I'm just going to cut the spline off there and show you what it looks like. Alright guys, there you can see it. It's pretty tight, and I haven't bowed out. Well, a little bit, not much. It's not too bad. That's why you put the centerpiece in, so it doesn't bow out. And I didn't put a lot of pressure on that to keep it the way it is, but there still is a little bit of a bow. Not much, but a little bit. So, not bad. Now all I have to do is take my Stanley knife, run it against the side here, and that'll get rid of the excess of the mesh. Okay, so there's all the edges cut off. I wish I had had that centerpiece so I could show you what it looks like with the piece in there, but it's not too bad for a first go in 30 years. So I still remember a little bit. Alright guys, I've got one up, but I'm not happy with how it's sitting. and I can see the bow in it now, so I'm going to have to get that centerpiece to put in to stop that bowing. And also I wanted to be able to get the windscreen, the fly screens off if I want to clean the windows. So I was thinking of just using some 3M Velcro's attachments, but it's with the bend in the bus, it's not holding properly. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to buy some screws and screw through. I'll only have to do 3, and 1 in the middle and 1 down the bottom, I think. So anyway, that'll be another job. But yeah, so that's what you got to be careful of, is a bow. When it's this wide, it tends to bow, and I didn't put a lot of tension on this at all, so I'm going to have to redo this one and get the center extrusion in there so it'll work. But other than that, it's come up all right. It should look good, and it'll keep all the bugs out, so that's the main thing. Anyway, I'll continue on that tomorrow. Okay guys, I went and got some more extrusion from Bunnings. Now, as I said, I had to put one across the middle to stop the bowing. The problem is they didn't have just the plain extrusion that doesn't have this little spline gap in it. Thus, these little connectors, which sit inside the end and flip over into the spline section, and then when you do the mesh and spline it in, it holds it together. Well, they didn't have this part here, so I've just used the normal extrusion. Doesn't really matter with this spline section in it, but just meant the little attachments I've had to just cut off a little bit to make them fit in there. Other than that, it's okay, it'll work. So I'll do this one, I'll measure the middle of it, put it in the middle, then I can fly screen it, and I'll fix the one that I've already done with one in the middle of that. Alright guys, now you can see the cross beam that's in there, so that'll stop the bowing when I do the meshing. So let me do the mesh and I'll show you what it's like after I've finished.
Shut up.
Alright guys, the back one is the one that's got the brace in, and the front one's the one that doesn't have it in. As you can see how much it's bowed in, even though I didn't put much pressure on it at all. You can see the difference. So that's why you've got to put a brace in there, guys. If you don't, you're going to have all sorts of problems. So on a longer length, on a shorter length you don't need it, but on a longer length you do. So that's that one done. Now to redo this front one to get it right, and then I've got one more to go. Okay guys, I'm getting ready to install these fly screens now that I've made them. I've pre-drilled holes along the frame, ready to put up. I'm going to take the frame out and then pre-drill the holes through the window frame as well. Alright guys, first one's up. As you can see, they're now screwed in. I've painted the screws black, and because it's a lightweight, it bends pretty easy to conform to the window. So I've put in 12 screws. I put 3 on each side, and that's going to hold it. It's not going to blow off with those there. And that means I can also take them off if I need to clean the windows if they're getting really dirty. So it looks good. I hardly noticed that they're on there. So I'm happy with that. Now to do Carolyn's window and the kitchen window.
And sit down.
Okay guys, I've put all the 2 other screens on just there where the kitchen is and where Carolyn's bedroom is. Now, one thing I have noticed is when you screw it on, this centerpiece makes it harder to get the window open because, you know, the bus windows are curved, so this makes it a little bit harder to slide the windows. So you've got a choice. You can either put it in and have a little bit more trouble opening the window, or you can leave it out and you might get a bit of a bow in the bottom. So it's up to you which way you want to do it. I've done it this way, didn't realise that was going to happen, but it's alright, I can still open it, so it's not a drama. Carolyn struggles a little bit to open it. So if worse comes to worse and we're sick of it being that way, I'll just take the middle brace out. So it might be worth doing it without the middle brace to start off with, see how it goes. If you're happy with how it is with maybe a little bit of a bow in it, then leave it that way, it'll make the window easier. Otherwise you can put it in. Now I was short one screw, so I've got to paint the head of one screw here to put this in. Other than that, the 3 fly screens that I wanted to get done are done. Before I put the fly screens up, I had to clean all the windows because it had lots of paints from when I did the roof, so I've had to do that all morning, scrape it all off. So anyway, those ones are clear. Got to do the couple others that are still dirty, and the front window. But other than that, guys, the fly screens that we wanted on for the time being are on. If they go all right when we're away over the weekend, well, I'll do the other ones as well. Morning, guys. I thought I'd give you an update on the fly screens. You know how I had the center piece in? I've actually taken it out because I wanted to see what it was like without that in, and the window slides so much better, so I've left it out. When you make this, put in a piece of timber or something the same length as what you need it to be to keep it apart while you make the frame, but leave this centerpiece out because with it touching here it just made it too hard for the window to slide. So now I've taken that out, the window slides nice and easy. So once again, guys, we thank you for taking the time out to watch our videos. We know that it takes a little bit of time to put aside, but we do appreciate it. We would love you to subscribe and also to like our video. And also, if you've got any comments on the fly screens or anything else that I've done throughout the build, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments below. And as always, guys, we hope you have a good week. We hope your bus build's going well. And for now, we'll say goodbye and see you in the next video. Okay, guys, see you later.